And we're back off camera. I made the other arm, which actually does not have a hand on it because I kind of want to do something similar to how I made the spike that I'm kind of basing this design off of, and that's kind of putting his hand in his pocket, and that's actually better that I kind of do that anyway because now I'll have to make more emphasis on kind of the bottom part of his shirt. So, alright. Now that we got that, we're going to make a small piece like this, and I think a toothpick would probably be recommended for this. Going to kind of put that in there and carefully shove it into his stomach. So we got something like that. Now, carefully, I'm going to kind of combine this lower piece with the upper one. And you guys will see what this does in a second. And that's essentially going to create that kind of bottom part that Spike has. I don't know, I feel like his shirt is, it's long and stuff. So this creates the kind of bottom part of the shirt. Like that. And now, because we have a bottom part of the shirt, we can add the last kind of two detailing pieces, which are just two really thin blue pieces of, well, whatever. Well, they're clay in this case, but, they're just part of his design. And I'd probably start that about right here. Make it go no further than his tie. So yeah, just small blue pieces of clay, roll it rather flat. And just put two right there. Make those slightly more even. Maybe use a toothpick for this. And yeah, so that was kind of the emphasis I wanted to make down here. And that's nice because how I'm kind of looking at this other spike, it looks like he kind of has this, I want to say kind of like a link kind of skirt type thing. I don't know, but it's kind of can't really explain it, but it's kind of this long extension, and it looks like it kind of cut it in half like that. So then we can kind of push this up and then put this arm kind of down in there like he's putting his hand in his pocket. So I think that's pretty cool like that. Now what I'm going to do is the legs, and the legs are actually probably pretty easy. We shouldn't have too much difficulty with these. But this is kind of where this is going to get really, really hard. So, long, thin piece, and yeah, this is the part. Because we want him to stand up, so I'm going to put a toothpick all the way in his leg, and his leg doesn't have to necessarily be, I guess, sculpted too well, because I mean it's kind of like, he's wearing clothes and pants and stuff, so it can kind of look a little baggy, it doesn't have to be really straight or anything, but we do need it to be in scale at least with the rest of his body, and Spike is pretty tall, so I would say that's a pretty good size. I might make it slightly longer than the toothpick. I would say that's pretty good. I wish I had a ruler because I don't really know how long that is, but you guys can kind of tell. It's a pretty good size. And then with the shoes, it'll probably seem a little bit longer. So simply do that again. Guess I don't really need to stop the camera for that, because I can probably do both of these and then the shoes all in one thing, and then I'll kind of go over baking methods and probably the best way to get this guy to stand up, because that's the one thing I hate about clay models is how you'll spend all this time making them and stuff, and you really want to display them and stand them up, and then they really don't. That's probably the second worst thing, other than spending all this time on it, standing it up in the oven, and then it falls over and you have a mess to deal with. I hate when that happens. It's happened to me far too many times. But every clay model is different in that sense, so Alright, so some precautionary things here. I have all these toothpicks kind of all over the place from the various kind of things we put into his body. So do a toothpick check. Make sure that... Wow, kind of dropped him. Do a toothpick check. Make sure that there aren't really any toothpicks that are all out and about, you know, in the back or anything. There is this one that's splitting through his arm here, so I'll have to kind of fix that. I hate that too, going back and fixing kind of toothpicks that split and stuff. It's annoying too. Make sure his not arms, his legs are of equal length. They don't really have to be sturdy because I'm not going to try and stand him up just based on his leg strength alone. But you know, something like that I would say. And now we're going to do the shoes with, I don't know. I didn't really want to use this light blue. I'm not sure. I think his shoes are actually darker than his coat. So maybe for color's sake, that's not the best color. So I guess we'll just make him this dark blue again because I still have some left, and I guess we'll make them that color. Just for some detailing sake, because I noticed this on my Spike actually, is it got some kind of little black, I guess, black areas kind of right under his pants, which I guess would be his socks. I guess I just wanted to include that much more detail, so maybe, I guess I'll save that for after. So, the shoes now. Something like this, a long kind of shape, flat at one end, and then I'm going to fold this end kind of over, and then flatten it, or rather extend it out. Kind of just going to do that, work with it until I got something looking like this, which is pretty good for him. Just want to make sure that's a pretty good size. I would say that's a pretty good size, like this. You don't want to make him too big, but you don't want to make him too small. I would say that's pretty good. So what we can do is, I guess, we can take the bottom of his pants and kind of flatten them out a little bit. I guess you might want to make the pants a little bit longer if you're going to do this. Then we can put our small black circle, just a flat circle, onto kind of I guess onto the flatness of the pants. And then we'll take the shoe and kind of put it on the toothpick. So we got like that. And then when it's on kind of, you know, a flat surface, you can kind of mess with the shoe, make it a little bit, you know, better sculpt. But I would say like that. That's how I would do it. And I'll do it again because, well, we're at 8 minutes, but I'll do it again because I can probably get in my last words and our last little detailing before I put this in the oven, and then we should be good for a wrap-up in one more part, which should be no more than 5 minutes. So I guess kind of as I'm doing this for a second time and stuff, I always kind of like to give some insight as to whatever I'm sculpting and stuff. So yep, Cowboy Bebop. I don't know, I never was really into Cowboy Bebop or anything. Like, that was when it was first premiering and stuff on Adult Swim. It was long before I was into anime. Well, like I said, as you guys probably know, Naruto was my first anime from 2005 when it was on Toonami, and that's kind of how I got into it. And I watched some of Cowboy Bebop. As I said, I don't really dabble in anime, or I don't really like anime anymore. I more or less just dabble in it. I don't know why. I just kind of lost interest in a lot of it. And a few years ago, or rather maybe just a couple years ago, when I was, again, more so into anime than I am now, and Adult Swim was playing reruns of Cowboy Bebop, I would kind of watch them occasionally, but I never really liked the show too much, honestly. But maybe that's just because I didn't have nostalgia towards it, and a lot of other people, you know, have nostalgia towards series like that. But nonetheless, it is a pretty, you know, just from the legacy that I've kind of heard about it, and Spike Spiegel as a character, and, you know, stuff like that. Not to bash on it. I mean, you know, I'm sure it's good to those people who really like it, and I had nothing necessarily against it as I do other animes, but phone rang. Now it's an El Supersonic Key video. So, yeah, that's Cowboy Bebop in my kind of opinion. here's Spike standing up. I'm going to do a couple things, but I guess I'm going to cut first, and maybe I'll do the final conclusion stuff and our final detailing in the next part. So, yeah.